Welcome to the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. My name is Rita Perez. Hello. I've been a travel advisor for over 10 years and am navigating this winding road of entrepreneurship with you. I created this podcast because I wanted to share all the things I've learned from leaders both in and out of our industry that I really wish I would have known way back then. But alas, the important thing is I'm aware of them now, and I want you to be too. Ready for this week's show? Let's jump in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. So nice to have you here again this week. This is going to be a different type of episode. So you've heard me say that I connect you to resources both in and outside of the industry. So we've recently heard from a lot of industry experts, and I wanted to get someone who lays it down hard, lays it down thick on what the most important component of being in business, regardless of your niche and where you are in the industry. The number one important thing is to get clients in your business, because if you don't have clients, you don't have a business. And Ina and I met, I officially met her. I'm not sure. I think I mentioned this when we did a live before, Ina, that you spoke at Virtual Podfest last year.
Yes.
And I connected with you and I'm like, I need to be in this person's world. And we've just been creating this relationship the past year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Welcome, Ina, to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Rita. Rita, you have been a fixture in my social media presence. Like if I go live, if I do anything, I know that you're going to be there for me. So you've actually been like my biggest cheerleader. And I have loved talking to you every time that I get a chance to do it. I love that the last live that we did. So everybody who's not following Rita yet on social media, you gotta go and check her out on Instagram for sure.
Thank you. And
by the way, I am going to be flipping back and forth between calling you Rita and calling you Rita. So
okay,
you're gonna hear me. You're gonna hear me flipping back and forth between the Spanish and the non.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. And that's so we did something, and I think like this is even like before we start like going in little, I think this is like one of the big things that not a lot of people are leveraging is making the relationships where we may not directly do business with each other, but especially like recently, if I know of an opportunity that I think you would be good for, you share it with me, and I know vice versa, that will happen. So you're not just supposed to be connecting with people who you think you can get business with.
Yeah. Totally. And I do have to thank you. You have sent a couple of opportunities my way and I acted on them immediately. I'm like, oh my God, Rita, thank you so much. I got featured in like 2 more places because you sent me 2 opportunities like on the same day. I'm like, I'm going to do this now. So I have a lot to thank you for. And I totally resonate with that, in that when we go online and we learn about engagement specifically, everybody's telling us, well, make sure you're engaging with your ideal client. And I'm like, well, you're going to have to keep an open mind, because what ends up happening is, what would have happened, Rita, if we would have connected, I would have realized that you're not my ideal client, and I would have just ghosted you and ignored you and thought like you're not worth my time. Now I don't have this amazing connection that we have with each other. So I always tell my clients to just keep an open mind. And that gets you, when you're doing engagement online, that gets you out of the mode of I have a hidden agenda, which is I'm selling something, and then get you out of thinking, get you out of that nervous state of like, oh my God, I'm engaging with someone new. How do I get them to buy from me now? Like, what is the next step? How do I switch a conversation without sounding salesy? Like, I never have those feelings, because that's never my main goal in engagement, is establishing relationships. So if we're going to start with like a quick lesson now is learn from me and Rita and keep an open mind when you do engagement online.
Right. You never know where it's going to go. And you never know, even like I would have never known the great connection that I made with you and one other person from attending Podfest virtually last year.
Right. And that was a great That was a great opportunity speaking at PodFest. And I actually just heard yesterday that I'm going to be brought back to PodFest to speak in person. This is going to be my first time actually speaking on stage at a conference in person. I've done so much virtual stuff over the past 2 years that I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually going to be in person with people. So yeah, no, that speaking on stages is like the one thing you need to be doing for visibility. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Right. And if you don't know what PodFest is, if you have a podcast for your travel business, or if you're interested in being a podcast guest, like PodFest is like the Olympics of getting to know people that are going to help you achieve more in the podcasting world. So before we keep diving in deep, Ina, so who are you and what do you do to help other people get clients in their businesses?
Sure. So I am a business coach, and I help other online coaches get clients online, specifically those who have small audiences. So I just have to say, just right now, it would be so easy for me to just go down the path that everybody else does, right? I'm going to teach you how to grow your audience, right? That's the big buzz out there. Those are people we want to learn from because that's a sexy thing, right? I need to grow my audience. When in reality, what I notice is after spending an entire year telling people, hey, you're going to need a great online presence, right? To grow your audience, to grow your business. I realized that people who buy into that message, maybe 20% of them actually end up growing their audience. But there's this other 80% of people that are just not. They're buying every course and working with every coach and doing everything they can to grow the audience because that's the sexy thing. But their audiences are not growing and they're still not getting clients. And at the end of the year, they've posted every day and they still have no idea where to start in monetizing their business. So that's when I saw an opportunity to say, you know what, guys? So let's let the 20% grow their audiences, right? But us who are here really doing the hustle and nothing is working for us, how about we switch gears? Instead of trying to grow our audience, how about we just start getting clients now, right? And actually start making money? How about we just skip that step? There's definitely a time and place for you to start growing your audience, but it's not going to be your first step. And that's how I end up with clients who've actually had a big audience. I've had several clients who have over 15,000 followers on Instagram, and they come to me and they're like, I'm still not making money. I'm like, I know that tracks. That makes sense to me because you haven't figured out how to monetize it. So I just teach people how to monetize it first. So that's what I do. To at the time of this recording, I just crossed this week the 800 follower on Instagram mark. And I do make a recurring income of thousands of dollars in my business on a monthly basis. So this is what I teach is forget about the shiny object. Let's just put that aside for now. And let's just get you money now. So that's what I do.
Awesome. And I know that you focus on coaches. And while us as travel entrepreneurs, travel advisors aren't necessarily coaches, there is that advisor piece because we are still kind of steering people clear. So, and I think that's where a little bit of the relationship is, that we can cross bridges because we are in the service-based business, helping others achieve whatever it is they want to achieve, whether it's success in their business or success in their personal life.
Yeah. And I define a coach as someone who is teaching adults how to do something, how to achieve a result. So if you are doing that, and I don't care if you call yourself a strategist, an advisor, a consultant, a counselor, a coach, to me, I just group all of that into coaching because we're all trying to do the same thing. We have something to teach and we have a result to achieve for our clients. So everything that I teach, yes, is going to be relevant to anyone who wants to get clients online. So yes, Thank you for that.
Awesome. No, and I also wanted to point out, because one of the things that I love that you do, and I have started doing it as well, is you clean your list. So all those bots and all the Bob Henry, hey, do you want to go on a date? You clean all those out. So your numbers are not inflated. They're actual real people that you've connected with.
Yeah. And I mean, and you can tell that I'm not here like bragging about like how big my audience is, because I don't even have 1,000 followers. I don't have 1,000 people on my list. I have not cracked the 1,000 number anywhere. I have very proudly 800 followers, and I'm able to come here and tell you, Rita, I have 800 followers, and I know that every single one of them is a real person with a real business, somebody who actually cares about what I do. So yeah, I go through my list. I think it was at maybe when I had like 600 followers, I finally switched to outsourcing that part of what I do. I finally got myself a social media manager, and I trained her on how to clean up my list every single week. But before that, for the first 600, I did that myself. That's how I came up with the rules to give her. So I've managed to start like getting some tasks off of my plate. And one of them has been to clean out the list. And yeah, I have rules that I give her. If it's a company, right, like a faceless company with a logo in the profile, and it doesn't look like it's manned by a real person, like it's managed by a real person, and you can tell if it's manned by a real person if you see their face on reels or on videos or things like that, right? So I understand that some people are going to have their company logo in their profile, but if I can see their face, if I can see that they're a real person, they stay. So that's my biggest rule for keeping somebody in my followers list. You're a real person. The only exception is if you are a man who does not own a business. Because if you're a man who doesn't own a business, you have no business following me, right? Like we're not going to have the kind of relationship that you're hoping we're going to have. I'm not here to make friends with you. So I will keep anybody who, if it's a woman and I can see that they're a real person, that they're really sharing, it's very possible this woman is looking for another way to make money, that she's looking for a way to get out of her full-time job. So she's welcome to stay, right? Everybody else is pretty much somebody who is some kind of entrepreneur of different stages in their business, as long as they could be a great client, a great collaborator, or a great mentor, they stay on my list. So those are my criteria. I get asked that a lot. Like, how do I know who to keep and who doesn't? Like, you grow that sixth sense, because you're going to have a different criteria for qualifying somebody as somebody who's allowed to follow you. That's my criteria.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Kind of thinking when we are, because I know that this is being reiterated a lot. A big thing, especially for Instagram, is reels. But then the other thing that they've been emphasizing is conversations in the DMs. So when we start to look like somebody's followed us and we want to start the conversation, but we don't also want to be those people that you're like, oh, I know what you want. I don't want I know what you're getting at. And I don't, how do we sound less like that?
We just don't do the pitch thing. For example, I'm gonna give you an example. I get those messages a lot, right? A message saying, hi, so how's your day going? And I go to their profile and I see they're not even following me. So I'm like, this person is looking for me to follow them. This person is looking to get to like, oh, so tell me more about how you started your business, right? I never answer questions like that, because I'm like, it's almost like if you remember the time when we all had landlines, right? Like, if a phone rang, you had to pick it up. There was none of this like caller ID thing. You'd be a very fancy household if you had caller ID, right? Like all of us, we had like a phone with no digital screen on it at all. So if a phone rang, you had to pick it up. So the phone rings, you pick it up. What was the first etiquette rule that you learned about answering the phone in your own house? That you don't give out your information to the person on the other line, right? They have to identify themselves first. So if I pick up the phone and they say, hi, who am I talking to? You know that you don't answer that question. Right. You go like, who would you like to talk to? Right? Who are you looking for? So I consider the DMs kind of like that old-timey way. And I have that etiquette too, that if somebody sends me a DM saying, hey, how are you? And how's your day going? And tell me more about your business. I'm like, who are you?
Well, and that's like, like, why do I need to? You came to my profile
You
and
came
you
to
clicked the
me.
message.
Right. You called me. Do you mind introducing yourself for a second?
Right.
And tell me, state your business. Why are you here?
Right.
So we all get those messages a lot. So how do I, as somebody who engages a lot, like my Instagram handle is literally your engagement coach. Like engagement is what I know. And I'm gonna tell you, I never feel sleazy sending messages because every single message that I send it has a personal connection trigger. And the way that I define a trigger is I never will send you a message out of the blue. There's usually something that makes me want to message you. For example, you just posted something that I actually really liked or that I resonated with, right? Or you started following me, right? That's a total trigger. Somebody following me is telling me, hey, there's somebody knocking on your door. I totally feel free to go check out their profile, go send them a DM, say, hey, thank you for the follow. I saw that you live in Perth, Australia. I have a friend who vacations there. Like, how's that? How is living there? Usually there is something that triggers that connection. If there is no trigger, then people are like, okay, why are you calling me? Right? I never invited this call. I never invited this interaction. But if there is an obvious, I'm responding to something that you did, right? Then that gets me out of the sleazy, I am just here to pitch you. Right. And the other thing that gets me out of that, I'm here to pitch you, is to just not pitch you. The truth is that in order to make sales in your business and you want to bank on engagement and talking to people, you got to have a solid content strategy. And that means that you need to have, what is your content? Your podcast, your blog, your social media account, your stories. You can do anything you want in all of those mediums. Like nobody can tell you what to do there. Yeah, I could be pitching on my feed all day long. And that's my prerogative because it's my feed.
It's your home.
But I don't pitch in DMs because DMs are a shared space. And I'm not here to occupy your space with my pitches. If you want to see what is it that I'm up to, you can come to my feed and you can come to my stories and no worries there. You are going to see me pitch. You're going to see me talk about the waitlist is open for my program. And these are the things I'm doing inside my program. And if that interests you, you know where to find me because there's a link right there. There is no need for me to ever have to pitch you on a DM.
I love that you said that and that you mentioned that DMs are a shared space, but my profile, my page is my own. So I'm going to pitch you all day in my stories and my feed everywhere.
Yeah, you can't tell me. And I cringe and it's a pet peeve of mine when people judge other people for what they do on their own feed. Like when somebody comes and tells, because this is one of the fears that we have, right? Oh, but if I'm pitching all the time, then people are going to feel icky. I'm like, it's your wall. You know that they can unfollow you anytime, right? Like they have the option to unfollow. If they're following, that's on them. They can even mute you without unfollowing you.
Oh, that's
right. So it's a huge pet peeve of mine when people come and tell you, well, you should not be doing that on your feed, or you're pitching too much, or you should be doing this. I'm like, how about you take care of your own feed and I'll take care of mine. Huge pet peeve of mine to go judging other people's strategies.
That makes me think of something else too, because how are you not supposed to pitch and invite the sale if you're not asking for because that's the other critical component. You need to meet new people, start conversations, and then ask them for their business. So how if you're not pitching it somewhere, how is that relationship going to happen?
Exactly. So I would say everybody who's listening to the sound of my voice right now, I would not be pitching on DMs because you know what it feels like when someone pitches on DMs and it doesn't feel good. It feels like, what are you doing here? Like, can I block you? It's like, how do I respond to this? It gets very awkward very fast. And I know there's people out there saying, but I've made millions of dollars by pitching on the DMs. Good for you.
Right.
Usually people who do that, who pitch on the DMs, are playing a numbers game. If I had the bandwidth, the ability, the team power, the automation to pitch 100 people every single day on DM, statistically speaking, somebody is going to say yes. Right? So as long as I'm sending out 100 messages, pitching on DMs every single day, I don't care if 90% of them block me, because the 10% are going to make my entire month. Right? That's a numbers game. That's why I don't judge other people's strategies. I don't judge them. Like, they can do whatever they want. I totally respect that everybody's trying to do business here. The thing is, with a small audience, we can't afford to piss off that 90% of people, because we don't have that bandwidth and that team power and that system to send out 100 messages a day. So if we're only sending out 5 messages a day, I can't afford to burn bridges with 90% of those people. So I'm not going to, and I'm not going to pitch, and I'm not going to give them a bad taste in their mouth. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to be myself. And I'm just going to be friendly. And I'm going to tell you, I don't talk on DMs with everybody who follows me. If I don't see that we have a common connection, if I don't see that we're getting along, if I don't see that our conversation is going anywhere, then clearly we didn't click. And that's okay. I'm not supposed to be selling to 100% of my list, right? I would love to just work with my ideal client. And if this is not working, I'm just going to walk away. So it's not meant to work with everybody. I'm not what we say in Spanish, a gold coin, that everybody loves a gold coin, right? Yo no soy una monedita de oro. I'm just not, right? So I only relate to people that actually relate to, and that's where it ends. So I'm just myself. If anybody talks to me on DMs, I want everybody to know there is no script. It's purely like me getting to know you better, you getting to know me better. If you ask me questions and you're giving me as much as you're taking, we are going to get along just fine, right? I will want to learn as much about you as you about me, and we're going to become friends very quickly. That's just the way that I roll online.
You know, and I think that is some of my best relationships with people that I've networked with and connected with is like, if there's any business talk, it really is about like more strategy, or how can I help you, or I have this opportunity for you, but it's not like, hey, you should do this thing too.
Yeah. And hey, by the way, I got like, it's just awkward. I just don't. If you like me and you like my feed, you will see what I have going on, and then you'll ask me about it. That's what my feed is for, to do all my selling. Right.
Because so we're talking about your feed, your platform. And I feel for me, I feel that's a very it's a nurturing sequence. So when we're talking about kind of like attracting people, I know that there's lots of ways to attract, but I think like one of the things we touched on a little bit is getting connected, like either through other people and utilizing other audiences, whether it's virtual events, in-person events, or even like speaking on other people's podcasts to kind of like cast a wider net to see who else might need our services, but where we can provide value in a space we may not have thought about or considered or even known before. So when you're looking for those types of opportunities, what are kind of like some key things? I know you touched a little bit on clarity on your business. So when you're kind of like matching yourself to these events, what are kind of like some check boxes that you're looking to tick?
For me, it hasn't necessarily been, I'm looking for this particular match. I will not sign up for something that has these traits. So far it's been like the backwards process, the other way around. Instead of I'm looking for this, is I will not do these things. And for me right now, the only thing that I have blacklisted that I won't do is speaking to brick and mortar businesses. Like that's the only thing that I've really restricted myself, because the truth is that everybody wants to get clients online. But if you have a brick and mortar business, those are not clients, those are customers. And if you have a physical product, like I can't help you. Like you should be getting yourself some publicity. You should be doing brand partnerships. You should be doing other things that I don't have experience on. I don't have expertise on. So the only people that I can really help are people who are in service-based businesses. So that's the only thing that I will that I will just not do. So I would suggest anybody listening to this, if you're looking for stages to get featured in, keep an open mind. It doesn't have to necessarily match your ideal client exactly. Like, case in point, we are here talking, right? But if anybody listening right now, maybe they're in the travel industry, maybe they have a friend who wants to be a coach. Maybe they have thought about becoming a coach. Maybe they consider their business to be a coaching business because they teach other people how to do something. So even though this is not like my perfectly matched ideal client, there are people who are listening who, number one, are going to find what I'm saying valuable. And number two, they may actually like it enough to go and follow me on my page. So keep an open mind. I once heard, I was at a class about public speaking, and somebody mentioned that they have a website where they list out all of the tech conferences happening in the area, and they said that you don't have to be a tech person, you don't have to be in IT, you just have to keep an open mind on who the audience is, because apparently one of their clients, who was a yoga instructor, she's actually doing great business going to tech conferences, because she's not teaching about tech, she's teaching about wellness. It's like, hey, in the tech industry, there's very high stress jobs. They're like, every company out there, every corporation out there has a wellness program. Like, they'll give you a little Fitbit so you can get 10,000 steps. Like, so she went and she just pitch herself in that aspect. It's like, let me be like that break, that release for your employees. And she goes and she gets booked to speak at professional conferences. So keep an open mind that wherever you speak, the platform that you go to, it doesn't have to be your ideal client. It just has to be a place where they're going to find value in what you give.
I love that. And I love like the complimentary services that I would have never thought yoga teacher to go to a tech conference. That is so interesting.
That's keeping an open mind right there. So, I'm speaking in podcasting conferences. I do have a podcast, but my clients are not podcasters. But guess what? There's a lot of online coaches who have a podcast. So I may end up reaching online coaches through that means. So keeping an open mind is my tip.
Yeah. How do you feel about the quote or the statement that conversations equals conversions? The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur is brought to you by Mailbox Power. Harness the power to attract and nurture your clients through something many entrepreneurs have forgotten about: the mailbox. Create beautiful custom campaigns and automate annual mailings for birthdays and holidays. And with a pro account, get access to mailboxes not currently on your mailing list that are just waiting for the travel service you offer. Visit my Mailbox Power affiliate link in the show notes to get started today and support this podcast.
You really need the other piece, which is content. And we just touched on that a little bit. You can't see it because this is audio only, but I'm going to describe this. This is a gift that I give to all of my clients. I'm holding a self-made coin. I made this coin. It's like a little chip with like a gold sticker on one side and on the other. And on one side, I wrote engagement. And then on the other side, I wrote content. So I call this my sales coin. If you want to make sales, if you want the conversions, engagement is not enough. You need the content because of what we just talked about. The fact that because I'm not going to pitch you or try to qualify you on a DM conversation, I need my content to do that heavy lifting for me. Like everybody asks me like, yeah, Ina, but if I go and I talk to Rita online about the fact that we both own dogs and the fact that we're both moms and the fact that we both have businesses, at which point do I bring in the pitch? I'm like, you just don't. That's why you need the content piece. So I would say, because I can come here and tell you all of my tips about genuine engagement. I just did a huge workshop for my clients. We were there for 2 hours, all teaching them about how to have engaging conversations online. And it was amazing, by the way. So I could come here and talk to you about engagement for 2 hours. It's not going to help you unless you have the content piece on the other side. So I would say conversations and content equals conversions.
And so remember I commented on the little quiz that you have on Instagram a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's some sort of disconnect. And I think that's where my disconnect is. I had been thinking about this for the last couple of days since we had that conversation. And I'm like, I just need to be giving. I just need to be more giving. But it's sometimes like we're in our heads, like we know X, Y, and Z of our own businesses. So we assume everybody else knows, but it's like, no, nobody else knows. So you need to be talking about the obvious.
I know. And it's crazy because the way that I see it, like the way that I say exactly what you just said, but the way that it plays in my head is that nobody is tuned into the INA channel all day long, right? Like I'm tuned into the INA channel all day long because I live in my head. So I know what are the thoughts that come up all the time. And I feel like, man, if I repeat myself, it's going to get annoying. But the truth is that they may have not got that message the first time that I said it. So yeah, so that's the way that it plays. It's like nobody's tuned into your channel. Nobody's paying that much attention to you. So you gotta be able to talk basically about the same thing over and over and make the same pitch and make the same case over and over and over again. It's a game of consistent messaging for years. And that's what we signed up for. That's what we signed up for. That's what we're doing. We have a big message and we have to continue giving it every day of our life.
Right. How did you land on getting clients and engagement as kind of your niche in the coaching industry? Because I think all business owners kind of like get in we do everything at first and then we start niching down, but sometimes it's hard for people to like put the blinders on. And this is the one thing.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that. I was just talking to my clients about this yesterday because I have a lot of clients who their first struggle is clarity. It's like, I still don't feel clear. I still don't feel clear. I still don't feel clear. And I have to encourage them to just try new things, to just try to learn. I actually sent an email out to my audience this morning where I was just super honest with them. And I told them, like, you guys, the way that I evolved in my business had a lot more to do with longevity, with learning the hard lessons, with making bad decisions, with learning about different things rather than any course that I took or any program that I signed up for or any networking opportunity that I had. It was just through trial and error. So the way that I landed on engagement is because I noticed that my audience wasn't growing. Like I've been trying to grow my audience for years and like it wasn't happening. But I'm not the kind of person to just quit, right? To be like, well, clearly this is not working, right? I did one reel per day for like 2 months and my audience didn't grow. Like everybody was saying like, oh, just get into reels and like that. I'm like, you guys, that didn't work for me. And they were good reels. Like I feel like they were good reels. I love my reels, but like it wasn't working. I'm like, okay, so clearly I just suck at growing an audience. It's just not a thing that I can just go and tell everybody how to do it because I've just never done it before. So but what did I notice? That I had a 6-figure business, that I crossed the 6-figure mark in my business within the first couple of years of having my first client. I had already made $100,000. So I'm like, if everybody's out there trying to make money, but what they're really trying to do is grow their audience because they think that's how they're going to get money. Like, it was just like, it just clicked for me. And I'm like, you know, one thing that I can help them do is get clients right now. But the one thing that I need to tell them to do is to stop trying to grow their audience, which is like the biggest, like most controversial thing that I can say in the online world is like, you have to stop growing your audience. You're like, what are you talking about? Audience growth is where it's at. And I get it. I understand. I wish I could get 100,000 followers tomorrow. It would make me happy. It would make my business flow. The problem is, that audience growth is not the solution to you making money. The audience growth is what's going to make it easier for you to monetize. But if you haven't figured out how to monetize your audience right now with the people that are following you right now, the people who are loyal, who are listening, who are there, who already trust you and know you and like you, then what are you going to do with 100 more followers, like with 10,000 more followers? I say this all the time, that if I were to, like, at the end of this podcast, if I said, Rita, I have a great gift for you and for your audience and for everybody.
Woo-hoo!
I am gifting everybody 10 new followers. Write in your accounts. Check your accounts. You have 10 new followers from me. Half of the people are going to see their accounts go from 310 followers to 320 and say, thank you for nothing, Ina. Right? Like, what is that supposed to do? And that's what happens to all of us every single week. We get 5 more followers and we just ignore the fact that they are there. Mm-hmm. And we just keep complaining like, I need to grow my audience and it's not growing. And you just got 5 new followers and you did nothing to try to monetize them. You did nothing to try to bring them in, to try to get to know them. You did nothing with those 5. Mm-hmm. So it's like that Bible story with the talents. You did nothing with these talents. So what makes you think that 10,000 followers later, you're going to be acting any different? Mm-hmm. So it's time to start learning the skill now to know what to do with those 5 followers you just got in the past week now. And then you'll be deserving of the 10,000 and you'll be making a lot more money because you will know exactly what to do with them.
Right. And I love that you touch on that because I think that's a big, like when we're thinking about scaling and growing our businesses, if you don't fix the problems at the level you are at now, it's just going to follow you at the next level and be even bigger. And you're going to have more problems at the next level too.
Yeah. You don't want to be that person who has over 15,000 followers and still not making any money. Mm-hmm. Right. I promise you that if you're not monetizing your audience right now, your small audience right now, as soon as you hit 15,000, you're still going to feel like your audience is not big enough. And that would be a really sucky place to be where you feel like it's never enough. So you got to learn that now.
Yeah. And some of the, like you were saying, some of the people that I know that are super profitable in the travel industry have less than 1,000, even less than 500 followers. So follower count doesn't mean anything. And I really loved what you were saying, like talking about how you developed your expertise in engagement and getting clients was through experimentation, because I chose experiment as my word of the year. And one of the recent podcast episodes I did was talking about the 4 phases of being in the travel or being a travel entrepreneur. And I said, eventually I'm going to compile this. I want to get my notes together and present like a formal webinar. And last night I was like, no, just like present whatever information now, no matter how messy it is. People need to hear that information now. So just do it and see what happens from there.
Just do it. Experimenting. I love it that you chose that word. Experimenting is trying new things. I'm going to tell you, like every year I see my business get clearer. It gets financially stronger. It gets more streamlined, right? You guys, I spent the entire last year creating a document for my virtual assistant to be able to set up my launches every time. But because I spent all year just doing that myself, and it would take me 2 months to write all the emails for the launch and to set up the landing page and to set up what the pre-sale emails were going to be. It took me an entire year of systemizing all of that. And now I can just get that off my plate. So like every year, things just get easier and easier, but you got to be intentional about it. So if this year is a year of experimentation, then make it be also the year that you measure what are the things that worked and what are the things that didn't. So that at the end of the year, you don't just have a hodgepodge of activities that you tried, you have proof that I tried that and that didn't work, but I tried this and it did. So 2023 is going to be the year of honing in, of focusing on that thing. And then let's see how that grows. And then 2024 will be the year of something else. And I think that this talks about the longevity that I was talking about is stop thinking I need to make money in the next 30 days. Right. Even though like in my program, I tell people like, you guys, if you want to get a client in the next 30 days, I promise you do what I say, you're going to get clients in the next 30 days. Mm-hmm. But when people are inside my program, I tell them we are here for the long haul. Right. If you really like need to make money right now, I would say like, get a job, get a part-time job, get a place that is going to give you like secure money so you can continue to fund your business, because businesses take time. They take planning for the year in order to see growth. Like nothing is going to be overnight. So I actually am very much enjoying seeing that I set my goals for January. I'm already like halfway done with them, right? It feels good that I'm actually meeting my goals for January. But to know that I don't even have to look at where I end up financially, where I end up in terms of growth until the end of the year. All I have to do is focus on my plan for this year. And at the end, I'll revisit and I'll change something. And then that will be 2023. So I've been really enjoying just thinking of my time as in year chunks.
I love that. I think this is a really great place I'm sure I was like, I could keep talking forever, but I know we need to stay focused and get to other things. So thank you so much for being here and giving some of your wisdom. Where can people follow you if they'd like to stay connected?
Thank you so much for having me, Rita. This is the stuff that I like to talk. Like, I'm so passionate about this. I can talk about it all day long.
Yeah.
And thank you for asking. People can come and find me at Your Engagement Coach on Instagram. And in case I have changed my bio link, if it's okay with you, I can give everybody a place to start, which is, so I sat down and I wrote, okay, everybody thinks that to grow their account, they need to be posting, right? I'm like, well, if you're going to be posting anyway, you might as well be posting content that is going to enable you to be in a good engagement relationship with your audience, that is really going to kick off conversations and keep you in the driver's seat. So I sat down and I wrote 100 ways to post that will give you the initiative, that will make you proactive in creating engagement conversations with your audience. And everybody who's listening right now can go and get it right now by going to 100postideas.com. And that's the number 100, postideas.com. It's a guide. It's completely free. And that's going to really get your engagement going on your account. So and I will see you at Your Engagement Coach. If you're listening, say hi, send me a DM, say hello. And I promise you, it's not going to be an automated message responding. And it's not going to be like a script. And I'm not going to be sending you to my masterclass. I'm purely going to be super happy that you said hi. And Rita, thank you so much. I have loved having this friendship with you. And I'm so excited that you brought me into your podcast. So thank you.
Likewise. And I just wanted to give another little tidbit for your Instagram channel. If you follow her, she does go live every week with amazing bomb drops every week, but make sure that you are engaging with her. You're not just taking all the information. Make sure that you're saying hello and helping out with the engagement and joining the conversation with other people who are live as well.
Totally. Talk to each other. Oh my God, talk to my audience. If you see somebody commenting, comment back. If you see somebody talking in the live, talk back, make friendships with each other. I love it that whenever I have a launch and I welcome new clients into my program, they all see each other and they're like, oh my God, you're here. My audience already knows who each other is. And that gives me so much joy because it means that I'm creating a community, which I really, really like. So yeah, definitely come here and engage and talk to my people. I would love to see that.
Yes. And I have to echo your sentiment. I have so much enjoyed this friendship that we have cultivated. And I look forward to different projects that we can collaborate on in the future. So thank you. Thank you everybody for tuning in this week. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining me on The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. Please subscribe and leave a show rating on your favorite podcast platform. Oh, and don't forget to take a look at the show notes for important information and links. See you next week.